If you never failed, it's a good chance you never chase anything worth chasing in your life. Today was one of them days for me. And on my way to the gym, I'm thinking, all I need to do is show up and put in the work. And then I'm just like, maybe failure is a part of the process. So of course I start talking to ChatGPT. I start watching videos, and I actually throughout my workout, I just listen to like motivational videos because we really do need to be reminded that every successful person failed so many more times than they succeeded. And so if every successful person failed more times than they succeeded, then that means that you're on the right path to success. It's just a fact. But what up, y'all? I'm Jamai. This is another episode of Manifesting Stardom. This is my journey to being the biggest star in the world. And yeah, man, I just was feeling like, damn, like I can't catch a break, man. Like, it's like you can't catch a break, but it's like, if you know you're failing, that means that you're obviously doing something and trying something that has some risk. And anything that is substantial or that is elite is going to have some risk required, or it's going to require some risk, because if you was just trying to live a regular life, everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that. So it's kind of like, if I wasn't an artist, if I wasn't a creator, and a creator that is actively pursuing my art, is actively pursuing my career, then of course I'm going to have some friction, because most people that go with the status quo, they're going to get a check every 2 weeks. They're going to live at a certain level. They're going to live at a certain level of, average, which is nothing wrong with that. But based on what I want and what I desire, working a regular job ain't going to get me where I want to get to. That's not to say that you shouldn't work a regular job or that you can't. But the truth of the matter is, like, you just going to have to make extreme sacrifices and take big risks. You know what I mean? And the more you grow and the more leverage you get, you can take risk and not take as big of an L from the risk. But I just want you to know that the only reason you failing is because you've obviously picked a career, or life has chosen you to be exceptional. And so I got 3 points that I wrote here. And the first point is, failure means you're in the game. You cannot strike out in a game that you're not playing. That's a great thing. There's so many people in this life, in our society, that's not even in the game, bro. You can't strike out if you never step into the batter's box. Every successful entrepreneur, artist, athlete, and leader has a trail of failures behind them. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of the process. When Beyonce said she had X amount of Grammys and she lost X amount of Grammys, the amount that she said she lost was about 3 to 4 times greater than the amount that she's won. You think about all of the shots that Kobe missed versus the shots that he made. Think about all the shots that Michael Jordan missed as opposed to the number of shots that he made. The good thing is you in the game. You're in the game, and some people aren't even trying to live their dream. Some people they just drunk off of dopamine. They just scrolling TikTok, scrolling Instagram, Netflix, Hulu. They just consuming, but not creating anything for themselves. And the scripture for that is Proverbs 24:16. For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. God has never promised you wouldn't fail. You wouldn't fall. He promised he will help you get back up. And that's just the truth. And so, like, we have to get to the space where we just taking the hits. Like, we just taking the hits. And trust me, I'm over 10 years. I'm over almost 20 years in pursuing my career. Almost 10 years, a little over 10 years of being an entrepreneur. And it's hard and you get tired. But I think one of the biggest benefits, or the biggest hacks, the best hacks, is to regulate your emotions. Try your best to keep an even keel to your emotions, because one day you up, one day you down, one day your bank account got thousands of dollars in it, one day you got zero or negative zero. But that is the life, that is a part of the process. That's a part of the life that you chose, or that chose you. And I always feel particular about saying a life that you chose, because yeah, you chose this life, but if I wasn't doing art, if I wasn't being an artist, if I wasn't pursuing music as my career, I would be lifeless. I wouldn't really want to live. I wouldn't have a will to live. You know what I'm saying? That's just the truth. And I think that's a reality for a lot of creatives, a lot of artists. We do this not because we chose this. If I could have chose something else, I would. But I was created to create. You know, I was created to be an artist. I was created to make music. I was created to sing. So that's my form of worship. That's my form of living. And if I can't do that, then life doesn't have the same purpose for me as it may for other people. The next point I have is faith requires risk. You don't need faith if you already got it lined up. Why would we need God, or why would we need faith if something is already plain and put and there's no effort there? Why would you need faith? Faith requires the risk. It requires for you to live a life that is delusionally optimistic, that all of your dreams are possible, that you're actually good enough for things to happen good for you, that you're actually good enough to win a Grammy, that you're actually good enough to have fans across the world, that you're actually good enough to be an artist that's headlining a stadium full of 70,000 people. That requires faith. And if your current reality, my current reality, is not Grammy nominations, 70,000 people waiting for me, screaming in a stadium, is me $1 million in my bank account, then how will it become a reality? It becomes reality because I said so, because God has given me dominion in the earth to create my reality. So my faith, my words, my actions will attract and create that reality for me. And that's just the truth. So it's just kind of like, you gotta understand that faith is a requirement. It is the prerequisite to get what you want. No risk, no testimony, no story. You'll never see God open doors if you're unwilling to walk toward them. Noah built before the rain. Peter stepped before the water. Peter stepped before the water held him. And that's just the truth. Like, that's why the word says that his word is a lamp unto my feet, because you are not going to see a mile ahead of you. You can only step today. You can only step forward today. And that's what we got to realize. And the scripture for that is Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. Faith is not waiting. Faith is doing. And yeah, I think all of this goes back to the main point of this video, which is failure is a part of the process. It's another scripture. I think it's James 1:2. It says, consider it a sheer gift when tests and trials come, because that's God's way of preparing you for your blessing so that you won't get it prematurely. He ate that. Because at the end of the day, we need to be so sure that our future is so bright that when failures come, I'm excited, because I'm thinking about the end goal. I'm thinking about how much this is going to go into the bucket of molding me and preparing me for my big success. You know what I'm saying? The last point is, your story needs resistance. You've never watched a movie where there was no plot. You've never watched a movie where there was no resistance. You've never watched a movie where there was no battle to get to the other side. You've never heard of a life where there was no resistance. There's not one successful business owner, entrepreneur, celebrity, athlete, leader, politician, there's not one that you can name that hasn't had resistance to get to where they are. You gotta embrace the failures before you can get to the success. And if God told you, hey, you have 300 more failures before your big breakthrough, you would be ecstatic when you on failure number 200 and failure number 250 and failure 275. You would be ecstatic. Why? Because you know that once you hit failure 300, it's up. And that's really what it is. We just don't know the number. We just don't know the date. We just don't know the time. But we have to know that it's going to be up. Like, it's going to be up. If you don't give up, it's going to be up. It's there waiting for you, but you just can't give up. So embrace the failure. And I'm talking to me first. Embrace the failure, man. Embrace the L, because the L is just a part of the process, man. The scripture for that is, I have here, nobody is inspired by someone who never struggled. People remember the comeback, not the comfort. That's the truth, bro. You never was inspired by somebody that didn't have to endure something to be the great person that they are. You were never inspired by that. We despise people that didn't work for what they had. We despise people who are lazy and just kind of were raised with a silver spoon in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Or if we perceive them that way, we despise that. Nobody's inspired by that. So the scripture for that is Romans 5:3 through 5. 5:3 through 5, it says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame. So the obstacle isn't ruining the story. The obstacle is making the story. It's writing the story. So we need to just embrace it. Embrace the failure and don't give up. And don't give up. And don't give up. I be wishing that we had more words, because like we hear don't give up, keep going. We hear that so much that sometimes it loses its potency. It loses its power sometimes because we hear things so much. But really, don't give up. Just keep showing up every day. You don't have to know what the Bible tells us. You don't know the first thing about tomorrow. Tomorrow will have its own troubles, but just be present for the day. Show up and do the work today. And before you know it, you 1% better. Before you know it, you stumbled on that lightning in a bottle. Before you know it, you have created an opportunity for yourself. Before you know it, you got a 6 months worth of savings, living expenses. Before you know it, you got fans all across the world. Just keep showing up, man. Just keep showing up. God gave you the will to show up today. Show up. Even if you're not at 100%, just show up. Be grateful for the failure. Embrace the failure and move forward. Because think about it. We're all afraid of failure. We're not afraid of success. Imagine how powerful you are if you're no longer afraid of the failure. You're no longer afraid of looking cringy or being embarrassed, but people not supporting. If that no longer scares you, it's up. It's up. It's up. So, move forward. Keep going. We showing up tomorrow every day. Peace.